to tomguitar.co.uk right now to check out the free guide, Boost Your Picking Speed by 50%. It covers the 7 most common mistakes everybody makes when they're learning speed picking. If you're making any of these mistakes, then you can't get progress. So check out that guide and hopefully it can help you massively boost your picking speed. That's at tomguitar.co.uk. Now on with the free lesson. Right then guys, now you have to excuse the clickbait title for this video, but the answer to this question is actually really simple. It's because you're not focusing, okay? So when you learn guitar, you might be, say, practicing a lot of different scales at the same time, and then practicing some alternate picking and maybe some sweeps if you're into that kind of thing, or maybe then you're practicing your songwriting, and then you've got band rehearsal, so you're practicing learning some songs for the band and everything, and that's great because you've got a nice bit of variety, you're practicing lots of different areas, which makes it fun because you've got different things to move on to all the time, okay? But when we're talking about shred guitar skills take quite a while to develop, okay? It does take quite a few repetitions because what you're asking your hands and fingers to do isn't something that they'd normally have to do at all. I mean, even playing guitar, for instance, well, suddenly all of your fingers have to move independently of each other when in normal life you don't have to do that. If I'm just going to pick up an object, well look, all my fingers move at the same time. So you're picking up a cup. Oh, well they all move at the same time. They don't have to be independent of each other. But as soon as you start playing guitar, even with your basic chords and things like that, suddenly your fingers are having to move one at a time rather than all together. And that means that it's something that's a bit unusual. It doesn't mean that you can't learn it, because obviously, you know, you can learn guitar, anybody can, and anybody can learn to play it to the same standard as anybody else. But what it does mean is shred guitar skills take a while to develop because the movements that you're learning aren't things that you normally use in day-to-day life, okay? So what does this mean and how does it relate to focus? Well, when you're practicing, and what I used to do when I was practicing shred guitar, I struggled for about 3 or 4 years. After I really got into it, you know, 3 or 4 years later, I still couldn't play even a simple thing fast and up to speed. Sure, my speed was a little better than what it was when I started, but I still couldn't play fast, and it was really frustrating. And looking back, I can see what the reason for that was, and I can see where the turning point was. Now, it's all about focus. So yeah, you might have a really varied practice schedule if you've got one at all. I mean, quite often I won't recommend a practice schedule, I'll just say play whatever you want to play. And that's cool because you might play some scales and practice that, and then practice your improvisation, and then practice your picking technique or whatever you want to do, and that's brilliant. But within each of those areas, you really need to focus. So let's take an analogy, for instance. Let's say you're learning German, you're learning a new language, right? And day one you say, okay, then I'm going to spend just 10 minutes, you know, say you're doing 10 minutes a day learning German. You say, oh, I'm going to learn these basic words. Now you've got a book and you're like, oh, okay, oh, hello is hello, oh, that's good, you know. And then I am Tom is ich bin Tom and everything, and you learn a few of these phrases and you think, yeah, that's great. And then the next day when you come to it, you learn something completely different, and you learn the words for, I don't know, a bunch of karate terms or something, and what the Germans call them, because you might think, oh, well, I do martial arts, I'll learn these, and then I can do those words. And then the next day, when you come back to your German for 10 minutes again, you say, oh, okay, today I'm going to learn about all the different types of buildings, or what's a library in German, what's a hospital, all these kind of things. And then you keep doing that every day, and by the end of the week, you can't remember anything you've learned because you've flitted between things too much. Yeah, you've covered all these words, but you haven't focused on any one group of them to really master them. So that's a really big mistake in learning, because yeah, you've learned something once, but then you've forgotten it, and that's it. You can't remember it anymore. It hasn't gone into your long-term memory. And this is what people do with shred guitar, and this is what I did when I was trying to learn it at first. I would, you know, see a video of somebody doing something, a little lick or something, and I thought, oh, that sounds really cool. I'm going to learn to play that fast. That'd be brilliant. You know, and I'd practice it. I'd say, yeah, I want to do like an hour a day on this. It's going to be brilliant. And I'd do it. And then after 2 days, I'd be like, oh, I'm bored of that. Oh, well, this guy's got another video. Oh, well, this different person's got a video teaching me a new lick. Oh, well, I'll try that one for 2 days, 3 days, you know. And then you do that for a while and you're practicing it. And then you come across another video on YouTube or a lesson on a blog or something. And you think, oh, wow, well, this looks really cool now because, oh, I could learn this new technique. Yeah, I'll do that. And you play that for a few days and you practice it. And then you're not sticking to any individual thing long enough to get results from it. And that's the real problem here, because you're flitting between things too much. So this is like if you were learning German and one day you focused on certain words in a certain topic, and then the next day you focused on something completely different, and the day after that you focused on something completely different again. So you're not giving yourself enough time to really master anything. And when we're talking about shred guitar, mastery is the absolute key, because you can't be average at playing a lick, because that's not the idea of shred guitar. The idea is that you're playing it really fast, and if you're playing it really fast, then average skills don't cut it. You've got to have really good skills, and the way to build those really good skills is focusing on one thing. So instead of flitting around between lots and lots of different topics, lots and lots of different licks and sequences and techniques and everything, just pick one thing and focus on that thing, okay, for as long as it takes to get results, for as long as it takes to get fast. Now, you can still be practicing all your other stuff at the same time. You can still be going to band practice and learning songs and practicing your improvisation and your scales if you like, that's cool. But within this area of shred guitar, just focus on one thing. You could even focus on something as simple as just playing 3 notes on one string, or maybe just a simple little scale run across a couple of strings, or a simple sweeping pattern, or it doesn't even really matter what it is, as long as it's not too advanced. The main thing is that you just pick one thing and you just stick to that for long enough. You make a commitment and you say, no, I'm not going to move on from this thing at all until I've got the result and I've played it fast. Okay? So a really good way to get a massive kickstart in your shred guitar abilities is to just say, I'm going to pick this one thing and I'm going to focus on it for 30 days. So, or you could say a month, basically the same thing, 28 days, 31 days, whatever. But you focus it on for about a month or 30 days, but you make a commitment and you say to yourself, I'm going to focus on this thing for that long. And until I've finished that period, I'm not going to move on to anything else shred guitar related. I'm not going to let myself watch another YouTube video where somebody's showing this lick that they think is definitely the easiest, fastest lick for me to play. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to focus on this one thing again. I'm not going to go through one of my old exercise books for guitar, and think, well, actually, no, I'd rather learn this shred guitar thing instead. No, just focus on that one thing for at least 30 days. Now, you could do a bit less if you like, so you could say, I'm going to focus on it for 15 days, or say 2 weeks, for instance. But if you're doing that, then make sure you're doing more per day. So you could do, say, if you're doing like 2 hours a day on this thing, if you've got a lot of time, then okay, yeah, you could just focus for a couple of weeks. But if, like most of us, you've got between half an hour and an hour per day to do this little lick or whatever you want to do, then I'd recommend focusing for at least 30 days. And you don't move on from that thing, you don't quit on it, you don't bring in anything new, you just focus on that one challenge, okay? So let's say you want to learn sweep picking, and you look on the internet and you find a cool sweep picking lesson, for instance, and you say, okay, yeah, I'd like to learn this. And then you focus on that. You don't move to a different lesson, you don't move to different licks, you just focus on one lick from that one lesson, and you focus on it for 30 days, okay? So let's say it's just a simple little 3-string sweep pattern, for instance. Then you just focus on that. So every day you just practice that 3-string sweep pattern, and then the next day you don't move on to anything new, you don't go and look for a new video or a new lesson or some new material. No, you just focus on that same thing. And then the day after that, you focus on the same thing. And I guarantee you, if you do this, you'll get results far beyond what you were getting before when you were flitting around between different things. Okay? So obviously the question now is, why does this work? Well, I touched upon it earlier in the video, and basically the reason it works is because shred guitar skills take a while to develop, and it takes a while to develop for each little thing that you learn. So if you're flitting between different things, then say this is your baseline level of skill on a certain lick, okay? And in order to play fast, you want to get up to like here. Let's say you want to get to here, and currently you're here, and you want to get to here, okay? If you practice something for 2 or 3 days, you might take your skills up from here to about there, and then you think, oh, okay, I'm bored now, I'm going to move on to something else. So you start at your baseline again, and then you say, oh, I'm going to practice this thing, and then you go up about that much, and then you say, okay, I'm bored, I'm going to go practice something else, and then you start at your baseline again, and you do the same thing, and you're never actually getting to that ultimate level that's your goal. But if you focus on one thing for 30 days, for instance, or even longer if you like, then here's your baseline, and you can take that thing up after a few days and a week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks and then 4 weeks and however long you're doing it for, and then you get it to that ultimate level where you can actually play it fast. And once you've got one thing to that level, it's really easy to get all the other things to that level as well, because you know that you can do it, and you know, oh, hang on a minute, I can actually play guitar fast. So then you've got the confidence to go out and conquer all these other challenges. But the key here is pick one thing and focus on it. So your challenge for 30 days is to pick one thing. So the very next exercise or lick video that you watch, or even if you've just watched one before watching this video, focus on that. And that's it. You're not allowed to go to another lick, you're not allowed to go to another lesson or anything, but just pick one thing. Don't get too caught up in about what it is. So don't think, oh yeah, but you know, this person says this is the right thing to practice, but this person over here on this channel says I should practice this thing instead, so which one do I focus on? It doesn't really matter, just focus on one thing, and focus on that one thing for 30 days. Keep practicing it, don't give up on it. You can email me if you like at tom@tomguitar.co.uk if you want any motivation or you're struggling with it. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And once you've focused on it for that period, you'll be addicted to this way of practicing because you get so much better results. So in summary then, instead of flitting around between lots of different things, focus on one shred lick or one exercise for the next 30 days, and whenever you're practicing shred guitar, only focus on that thing and see what results you get, because I'm sure that you'll be surprised at how much quicker you progress when you're doing this than you do when you're just jumping around between lots of different techniques and licks. Okay, so I really do hope that's been helpful for you. If you'd like more free lessons and everything, don't forget to subscribe. They're coming out every day. We've got lessons, reviews, all that kind of good stuff. And also don't forget to check out the guide on boosting your picking speed by 50%, and that's in the description below. So that'll give you lots of tips that you can use to help improve your technique, so that when you're focusing on this one challenge over the next 30 days, you can actually get great results. Okay? So I hope that's been helpful, and hopefully then we'll see you in the next lesson.